Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Max Frequency Podcast. I am your host, Max Roberts, and I have the honor and privilege of returning to the show for the third time. Phil Summers. Hey, Phil, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Oh,
Thanks for having me for the trifecta. This is it.
this is the trifecta. And
Triple.
another trend I noticed. I pulled up like the previous episode. You were on episode 11, and then you were on 22. And now you are on 44. So you're always on a double digit a match. Like in Mario Party, you would get, 10 bonus coins for that, rolling doubles.
That would be great.
Phil, you're back because you've put out another book. This is
I did.
What is this, your sixth, I suppose, if we count hand-drawn gaming guides, and then the Kickstarter. We don't talk about that.
We can, but yeah. I mean, we did, but
we did that last time. We talked about the Kickstarter last time, and then the Patreon for the I want to call them magazines, but like the newsletter, the monthly newsletters, and then now we've got 2020X. Is that how you would be saying it? 2020X.
Yep.
Video game reflections. It's here in hardback on my desk. Is the standard the standard edition? Is that paperback? Is that what that is? I don't even know.
No, it's just I don't. Thank you. No, you got all the extra goodies.
Stickers.
You got your name in it. I signed it for you.
Did. Let me see.
Right? You should have a signature. You should have a number.
Yes. I am number 6.
Do you have a sketch? You have a sketch.
I do have a sketch. Oh, is the sketch limited for...
That was special.
Oh.
Who do you got?
I just saw because I read that entry today. It looks like to me, I think it's the Guardian Legend lady.
Yeah, I did do that.
Let me see. You tell me.
That's her. You got the sketch. You're the first sketch that I because the first one that I know of that I spoke to somebody. So I did 10 of them. That was part of the special thing. Was I was going to sketch randomly I was going to sketch in the first 10 of them, and then that would go out randomly to whoever.
Okay.
I mixed them up in the pile so that because when I print out the names are all in alphabetical order, so I didn't want to hit every, you know what I mean? So I mixed everything up in a big pile. So the sketch is special. So if you're listening to this and you got a sketch, that was special.
Okay.
And
then
then I tucked away, and I didn't put them in the sketch ones, and then I tucked away 5 like original art pieces. And the way I did that was, I think one of the ones I already forget the ones I gave out. I think I gave out the Super Mario Advance 2 one. I think I gave that one. But anyway, even if I didn't. Anyway, I tucked those in that page. So it's like a little surprise.
Oh, when you flip open the book, then you would
you would have that actual page. So I did that for 5 of them. One of them, I think I only saw one of them turn up for that too. So then I'm just like, oh man, I don't know if anybody got... I don't know where they are. Because usually people are like, I got the thing, and they show it to you on Twitter.
Yeah.
And that's how I know. So you're the first one to report a sketch. So
cool. That's awesome. I didn't realize
so
that
you
was a part
you
of
paid
the
for that. That was part of your perk. Yeah, and then I added the names, and then
I did see that. I did see my name. That was fun.
And you got all the goodies and all that stuff. So that was all part of that was basically the pre-order campaign. So I guess I'm kind of getting into it a little bit. I know you have a plan. I'm sorry if I'm not following,
let's deviate from the plan. Just talk to me about it. We could do it.
All right. Yeah. So just to explain why I did it that way, I didn't want to do a Kickstarter. I guess I was scared. So the way I did it is I just opened pre-orders just on my horrible Gumroad shop because I never came up with a real shop. I almost made a whole Shopify site, whatever. I don't want to get into all that stuff. I got everything functioning there. I'm selling one product at a time, it's whatever. So I just thought I can't, how do I crowdfund this thing without crowdfunding it? Right. So I came up with like a pre-order campaign. It's like, well, what's the incentive to make anyone pre-order? Like, why would anyone pre-order it? So then I thought, well, I have to offer something special that they could only get within this time frame. So what I did was I had what you bought. It was the deluxe edition, was only available for 1 month. So anybody could order it and sign up for it. And then one of the perks was I would number those. So the number you have is 6 out of 261, I believe.
Yeah, I think.
Like someone was like, "That's a weird number." Yeah, someone's like, "That's a weird number. Why'd you pick that?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't pick that. That was just the amount of
that was what you landed with." Yeah,
books for that. For that edition. So that was like my pre-order incentive, and it actually did pretty good. So that was nice. And then after that month, you could still pre-order, but you couldn't get the
deluxe.
Couldn't get the special one while everything was in production, and the production took a little longer than I planned. But is what it is.
I think that's the way it always happens. It's like I don't know anything that I've kickstarted, for example, that has come out on time.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever happens that way.
No.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
It's cool, and I do want to dig into all of that. But first,
we'll go. Yeah,
we're gonna do. I want to talk about the whole book thing. I'm fascinated by the process of actually, making a real physical object, especially with the way this has all come together. We're gonna talk about it. But first, October just ended. I was on Twitter prepping for the show, doing my thing, and I notice you have a tweet that says you watch a new new to you horror franchise every year.
Yep.
And this year you just chose like my favorite horror franchise, in Alien, and I went through your whole thread and just felt like we should talk about Alien for a little bit.
Cool. Would you consider Alien a horror franchise?
I think it's horrible how it's been maintained over the years. No, I mean, yes. Yeah, I think so. I think at the heart of it is always there's a scary core to everything. Is Aliens a horror movie? No.
No,
Resurrection? I don't know. But it's, I think Alien is horror. There was an Alien vs. Predator haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights, so it must count.
Yes. Yeah, that would. No, yeah, because when I told like someone, I think it was my brother-in-law, he was like, "It's a bit of a stretch," and I'm like, "What is it? I don't know. I don't think so."
The first movie is Jaws.
I mean, he loves them. Yeah, I mean, he loves them, but he just was just like, "I don't know if that counts as a horror fan." I'm like, "Okay, well,
you should have your brother-in-law play Alien Isolation, and you then ask him if he thinks it's a horror video game."
Yeah, that's a good point. I think he actually has that. I saw it at his house. So
okay,
yeah.
I'll put a link to the thread for folks in the show notes if you want to see like all of Phil's thoughts on each one of the entries. But in particular, you put your ranking in here, and I agree with your I actually agree with your ranking. It has been a long time since I've seen Alien 3, and I haven't really considered. I think the last time I saw it, I probably was in high school.
Okay, wow.
So I definitely haven't thought of the things you pointed out with Alien 3 in particular. It's kind of I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it and see how I feel about it now. I remember I couldn't even get through Resurrection. I was like, this is so bad.
You're right. I mean, it's bad. It's bad.
And I think Covenant is like an ultimate betrayal of the marketing felt so good. I lost it when David made out with himself. I was like, I give up. What are we doing? Why is Michael Fassbender making out with Michael Fassbender? But I think Romulus has like rebuilt the trust. It reminds me of.
Well, how do you want to start going through the list? Do you just kind of want to ping pong back and forth here? Or do you want to start with?
Let's start at the top. Let's with the goat, the alien, the xenomorph. Alien.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, what a movie,
Yeah, no, I loved it. I mentioned in the thread. I'm just going to repeat myself in a couple of these things. If you had read the thread, whatever. But anyway, so I had seen more of this movie than I thought. I just never
Yeah.
actually sat down and watched it beginning to end, start to finish. Always different scenes. Maybe I've seen walked in halfway through, whatever.
Hmm.
But it was the first time I watched the whole thing, and no, it was great. I thought it was awesome. Still pretty scary. Still looks awesome.
Oh,
Uh,
it looks so
the whole
good.
thing. I mean, it's just a great movie.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, definitely enjoyed that. Now, one of the things that stood out to me, um, and I probably get like actually or whatever for this. I'm not an Alien expert. I just watched them all, but one of the things that stood out to me when I was watching it is I noticed that um, they I think it was Ripley. She says at one point one of them is just like they took them away and there was no trace of them. And then I thought that was interesting. I was like, that's weird. Why do they keep? Well, at the end of the movie, when nothing was addressed with that, I thought that's weird. Why did they make a big deal out of that? So I was like, I'm
Sure.
gonna look this up.
The
So I
lore.
look it up. Yeah, and there was a deleted scene where Ripley's searching the ship, and she finds the people that got taken away, the two people, and it looks like they're turning into the eggs, the alien eggs.
Oh.
So like the one guy, he's kind of like like globbed up, and it's hard to tell. But the other guy, it's literally an egg, and like his head's on top of the egg. So the speculation is that the alien life cycle in this movie is that, the face hugger gets you, you birth the alien captures you, turns you into an egg, which will then go and make another alien. So then when you apply that logic to the ship in the beginning of the movie with the engineer, which, well, we don't know he's an engineer at that point, but the guy, I knew he was an engineer because I just had a little bit of,
Prometheus and all that stuff.
yeah. So with that logic, he births the alien, and the alien turned the whole crew into a bunch of eggs.
That makes sense. I like that.
So that's like if you self-contain that movie. So like
Now,
so it has
now-
there it is.
Now none of that is true.
No, yeah. Once we're yeah. Then with aliens, obviously that's
Once
not how it
you-
works. They just
Yeah. James
They just-
Cameron threw that out the window.
yes. Which is, I mean, it's fine. I just thought that was kind of cool, and as a self-contained movie, you kind of get the whole picture with that. But they cut that scene out, and it's kind of amazing how cutting out one little scene like that can change the course of a whole thing,
Yeah,
whole franchise.
I never even knew that as like a deleted scene. That's pretty cool. I mean, Alien is actually I remember this. Obviously, I remember this from my bachelor party. So I was the first out of my group of friends to get married, and so I was the first bachelor party, and so ours was just like one night in Orlando doing a bunch of stuff. And I bring that up because the first thing we did was he rented out a movie theater for me, and we watched Alien at the theater.
Oh man,
Which was great. But it was
Yeah.
all in one night. And then every bachelor party since then has been like some sort of weekend excursion somewhere. It's like this longer thing of like, clearly we did mine wrong. We should have gone
yeah.
out of
I
town.
don't know. I mean,
for
yours sounded pretty good.
Alien. No, mine was great. It was Alien.
Yeah.
There was a fancy bar downtown. Then we went to a barcade. And
Oh,
had
cool.
chicken wings at some point in there too. So that was the
Yeah.
thing. That was great. It was a good night.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
So Aliens is often touted as one of the great sequels of,
Yeah.
especially when you take James Cameron and Terminator 2 Judgment Day and you throw that in the loop with it. It's just like the great sequel man, James Cameron, who now just makes Avatar movies until he'll die.
Technically, there's only two of those though, and I didn't see the second one. But is that a? But
I
mean,
do
made a
like
ton
it.
of
I did
money.
like the second one.
Yeah.
This is a
Did you
good
like it more
movie.
than one?
Yeah. And we went and
Yeah.
saw the re-release in theaters before so we
Oh,
could
cool.
refresh ourselves.
I was literally just talking about Avatar tonight with my wife. I forget how it came up. Something about James Cameron was just on screen. Like it was like an ad, and he was on the screen, and I was like, that guy's kind of a genius. And my daughter was just like, what do you mean? I said, James Cameron. He makes the best movies. And they were like, and then my wife was like, whoa. And I said, guy made Titanic and Avatar. She's like, well, they're not that great. And I was like, it doesn't matter if they're not that great. Everyone saw them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Like everyone saw it. And she's like, Titanic kind of stunk. And I'm like, doesn't matter. You're not getting it. Like it's like the #1 movie of the world, even adjusted with all these other movies that are just like not adjusted for inflation. Like it's like
mm-hmm. and the only one to the first one to dethrone Titanic was his other movie.
Avatar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's like he knows how to make movies that people want to go see.
How many other directors or world creator storytellers get a theme park after one movie? Just a whole theme park dedicated to your one movie. Like, it doesn't happen.
Yeah. And then I looked up the top 4 because I was like, I want to make sure. I think #1's still Avatar 1, and then it's Endgame.
Yeah.
And then it's either Titanic or Way of the Water. So it's of the top 4, he's 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like the guy, he knows how to make movies. I don't care if you think they're bad. Everybody's watching them. And they always look amazing. They're always just, the best technology.
He's like living in the Mariana Trench. He's filming things underwater. He's doing all sorts of wild stuff.
Yeah. I know people are getting on him because I think he said some stuff about AI recently or whatever. But whatever. I'm not going to get into that. The guy's been making movies forever. Whatever.
Let the man just make the movies.
Yeah.
But Aliens, pretty good.
Yeah. Now, the weird thing is so this is another one where I saw that. I've seen Ripley fight the Queen with the...
Sure, yeah. If you've played Conquer, you've seen it.
Yeah. So, wow, I forgot that was in Conquer. I want to play that again. But, so this, when I was watching it this time, coming off the first one, like, I knew this one was more action-packed or whatever, but, like, the tonal change,
mm-hmm.
You really do feel that. And in the first hour, I was just like, I don't know if I like this. Like, it's so different. And I know this is going to sound so stupid, but I don't know. When Ripley is just, she's just talking to like normal people, and they're just like in regular suits and stuff. It didn't feel like futuristic.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds so stupid. I was just like, I don't know, the way they're dressed, it just looks like they're just like in a regular. It doesn't seem
like we're in outer space. Yeah.
Yeah. It just felt, I don't know, too normal. But then, like an hour in, then once they go to the planet and everything, and they kind of, it's almost like it's a weird comparison, but my initial thought was like, this is the Lost World Jurassic Park in space. They're like, how do we get this person that should have no business going back to this thing? Like, how do we rope them into it? Almost
how do we get them back?
That, like, yeah, like, how can we get Jeff Goldblum, who like really just sat the first movie out because he got hurt, and like how do we rope this character back into the movie? You know what I mean? Like, it kind of had that feeling. And that was another where I was just like, I don't know if I'm feeling this. They're just kind of like coming up with an excuse to get Ripley back into action. But anyway, once it started to happen, I was all in, and it was awesome. I ended up loving it.
Aliens is wild.
Yeah.
I want to jump to Prometheus. Prometheus was the first Alien movie I ever saw, and I didn't know it was an Alien movie. I just was like, oh, there's this like space movie out. I'll go see that. I was 18 or something, I think, at the time. And that movie's wild on some parts. I like the lore bits a little bit. It gets a little crazy there at the end as far as I remember it. It's been a minute since I've seen Prometheus. I kind of have wanted to go back since Romulus. I've wanted to go back and watch it again.
So I guess seeing that movie, not knowing anything about Alien, not even knowing it's related to Alien, like, I guess, did you like it? Like, you thought it was cool?
Yeah, at the time, for sure. I remember buying it on Blu-ray. This is a good movie. I think, well, obviously, once the birth happens and like it comes out, you're like, oh, yeah, I've seen that thing before, in pop culture or what have you. it's cool, that idea of it. I like the idea of the whole. I think there's something pure in that, being able to see Prometheus and having no clue it's an alien movie. Like,
Yeah.
there's just a complete social disconnect for me. So it's
Yeah.
fun. I probably actually liked it more because of that. Because
That's what I'm thinking.
Because when you know it's an alien movie, like in Covenant's case, it like doesn't help it at all. It's like, oh, please stop.
Right. I guess I didn't hate that one as much as you, but we'll get to that one. But yeah, for Prometheus, I'm kind of torn on it. I like some of the lore ideas. I think the engineers are pretty cool. I don't know how I feel about the Black Goose stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
My biggest problem with it was that everybody's so dumb. They're like the smartest dumb people.
Yeah.
So the scientists roll up, and they just keep doing dumb things. And it's like, you guys are so smart. Look what you're traveling to other planets, and then you show up and you're just making all these dumb mistakes. Like
it feels like every alien movie has this moment of like, oh, don't let the the person with the giant thing on their face into the ship.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, we gotta let him in. And it's like, guys, clearly, we're in a very dangerous situation. Safety of the crew, they gotta stay out. But nope, no one ever remembers that.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
No one learns that lesson. Even in Romulus, it happens.
Oh yeah. So so with Covenant, I'm gonna connect this to Romulus in a second with the crew. So with Covenant, the crew is also so dumb in that, but I was kind of okay with that because like they weren't like I guess they were kind of experts, but they didn't seem like they were like the geniuses that the people in Prometheus were. They were just they had a job and they were trying to do the job. Well, I guess you could say that about both of them, but the Prometheus people were actually there. They were trying to find signs of or the origin of life or whatever. So they were on this super important mission,
Yeah.
Whereas Covenant, they were just trying to colonize some other planet. So it's a different mindset with these crews. So they were so dumb in Covenant. But in Romulus, they were also dumb, but they were just a bunch of kids who had no idea about anything. So it's like, I'm totally fine with them making dumb mistakes because they're literally just a bunch of kids that are scared and they have no idea what they got themselves into.
Exactly. That softens the blow on like some of the dumb decisions.
Yeah.
That everyone makes in that movie. It's, I mean, let's just. Well, Alien 3. I always in my head, I think I remember Alien 3 more fondly than it probably is. I mean, it has given us the iconic GIF of Sigourney. I mean, that is truly a great scene. I still don't fully understand why the alien doesn't see her there.
No,
I guess it's because
he knows she's pregnant.
But yeah, so he won't do it because she's got the baby in her.
Yeah.
Protect the species. It makes sense. I don't know. It's a great scene,
Yeah.
and I like the idea of a prison planet. But the issues you pointed out in your tweet that it reminds me of we just totally throw Newt under the proverbial spaceship bus. We just basically disrespect the entire end of Aliens, and we're like, nope, we gotta. Similarly, how do we get Sigourney Weaver back in trouble with a xenomorph? It's like, oh, what if we just everything goes wrong off screen? It's like,
yeah,
we could have done this better.
Yeah, and it's kind of depressing because it's like, well, I like Newt. I wanted her to survive. She did survive this huge ordeal. Now, at least the cat got to survive. He stayed back before she left for Alien, so that was nice. But and then Hicks, he made it, and then they killed both of them, and then the first 20 minutes of this movie is just, oh man, my friends died, and it's depressing. This planet sucks. There's a funeral. And I'm just this is not. I mean, not that they're kind of fun movies, you know what I mean? Alien, debatable if it's fun, you know what I mean? It's not this depressing thing where I'm feeling horrible. And that's kind of the vibe with that movie. And I know there actually are people that I think really do like Alien 3, kind of because of that reason. They like how serious it is. But for me, it was just such a like buzzkill that it's at the bottom of my list because I just didn't really find anything redeeming in it.
Well, this actually kind of reminded me. I haven't actually read this yet, but there is an unproduced script for Alien 3 that was from William Gibson. That was, I guess, the original run of it. I guess the story was written by Johnny Christmas, which feels like a fake name. Johnny Christmas. Anyway, I've heard that this is actually like the version that people like, so maybe that's something to read or look a little bit deeper into. Because obviously things changed. I'm curious. I'll have to dig into that more. I've always heard about it, but never like gone back and read it myself. Maybe that fixes some of our issues that we seem to have with it.
So, another thing with Alien 3 too that I mentioned in that thread is the marketing. So probably 6th, 7th grade or whatever when this movie came out. I'm just guessing. Marketing was huge, and I feel targeted at kids. Like to me, it seemed like it was the coolest movie that was coming out. That all the video games there was, for Super Nintendo and Genesis, and like, the tie-ins and toys and stuff. So like I couldn't wait to see this movie, even though I didn't really. I saw parts even at that age. I saw parts of the first two, but I couldn't wait to see this movie. And I do wonder if the studio expected to market. I wonder if they expected to be marketing something that was more like Aliens 2, 3, like a sequel to that, where it's more action packed and a little more faster paced, a little more fun.
Little Colonial Marine action figures and say
yeah.
game
Like
over,
I wonder,
man, when you push the button.
Yeah, I wonder if that was what they thought they were getting when they were coming up with all that marketing stuff, because it's not a kids movie. It's not a movie a kid would like. I do remember finally seeing it when it was on, like it came on HBO. It was on all the time, and I remember not really liking it, but almost kind of like forcing myself to like it because it was supposed to be cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so, like,
one
I'm
of those.
watching like this is the cool thing, so it's got to be good. But as an adult, out of that mindset, I just thought it was depressing.
not an uplifting Halloween film.
No.
I mean, from what I remember of Resurrection, it's kind of like another 180 in a way. I guess that's what happens when you put Joss Whedon.
Yeah, yeah, that was a surprise. So this I saw this in the movies when it was new, so that puts me probably my senior year of high school. Hated it. Wanted to walk out. One of the few movies I wanted to walk out of.
I definitely shut it off the first time. It was just like,
I wanted to leave.
I think I remember them swimming, the xenomorph swimming, and I was like, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah. Well, because it's and this movie's like the complete opposite of 3. It's like super silly, like too silly, too fun. Yes. Like just ridiculous. So, however, now coming back to that as an adult, I kind of it's a terrible movie, but like I guess after watching 3, I was kind of cracking. Like I kind of enjoyed the crew. It's got like Ron Perlman and stuff, and
yeah,
I was enjoying that crew, and but yeah, not good. But I was cracking up a lot. Probably when I was supposed to. I don't know. Who's the guy that does Chucky? He's in it. The guy that's the voice of Chucky.
Oh,
Brad Dourif, I think.
Maybe.
He's in it. So like, his scenes are supposed to be like, he's hamming it up. He's supposed to be having fun. So it's definitely silly. I did not realize Joss Whedon had written it until I started to watch it and saw his name, and immediately I was like, yeah, of course this guy wrote this movie. Like, it feels like something he would write.
Yeah,
but it's awful. It's awful.
It's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible movie. I think that brings us to Romulus. We talked about Covenant a little bit already, but Romulus it's Alien's greatest hits, which I love. You get all the good parts. But I wanted to say, I guess, spoiler warning for Romulus, just because that's a newer one.
It's new. Yeah.
But So when we were leaving the theater, you talked about how you didn't like until they started looping Prometheus lore into it, and the final boss was lame. The big gargantuan man-child xenomorph. When I was leaving the theater, I similarly thought it was very Prometheus of them to do that at the end. But apparently that creature was one of the original designs for an alien from Geiger. And so they actually were able to incorporate it. So like that's, I guess, part of the payoff. If someone had said that when he left. So like that made me appreciate that scene more. And of course you get that just truly horrific birthing scene and you know all that stuff. And that's how they tie the Prometheus like greatest hits part into it, I think, because that is scary. It gave me it gave me flashbacks in a strange way to the birth of my daughter 2 years ago. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh God.
I don't want to be here in the theater right now. Where are the doctors?
That birth got you. That birth got
Well,
it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is mind-blowing. And so when it's happening with a giant, horrific alien, it's like, oh
yeah. And it was a dude in a suit too, right? Like, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they did practical effects. Right? A lot of puppeteer, dude in a suit type stuff. Which all for that type of stuff. I love Romulus so much. It's great.
People really love it. I liked it a lot. When you look at the list, number 3 on the list, so I did like it a lot.
That's where it belongs.
But you
can't dethrone. You can't dethrone the 2.
Right. And I think like the first I don't know 40 minutes or so of that movie, not quite half, it felt very original, and I found myself getting like pretty invested. I was like, this is cool. I'm enjoying this, especially when they introduced the gravity.
The gravity was cool. I could see that instantly as a game mechanic. My brain was like, oh my gosh, this would be a video game moment.
Well, when it was happening, I thought they were going to take it way further than they did. I was just like, I can't believe they're going to be dealing with this the whole movie. I was like, this is going to be nuts. Like, no wonder people like this so much. And then they just like hit the off button, and then I thought, well, they're going to come back to it at the end because they got to use it. And they did. You know, they used it to make the big scene. That scene was fun. It was cool. But I really thought like, oh man, I can't believe they're going to do a whole movie where like every couple of minutes they're thrown off. And then it also started getting me thinking. I was like, so the aliens built like a whole hive when they were constantly being thrown off gravity. Whatever. Now, like that's when you just start nitpicking it. You can do that with any movie, but
yeah.
But it was fun. But then once it turned into the greatest hits, remember the pulse rifle, remember like that. I started to kind of get a little turned off. Maybe I can see in your case, or a fan's case, where it's been so long since you had this great alien movie.
We needed a win.
Yes. When they're hitting you with all that stuff, right? You're just like, oh, here it is. But for me, watching everything back to back, I was like, I just saw that. I just like, it's not doing it for me.
Yeah.
So,
I can totally get that.
But I can see why the long-term fan would be into that. But,
yeah. I thought even they got some like Colonial Marine stuff in there. I mean, when she just goes totally using auto aim, video games again. Just, let me use auto aim in this hallway. I'm like, oh wow, you got it all in there.
Yeah, they did it all.
Are you familiar with the TV show they're doing? I'm back.
I mean, I heard it exists, but I don't know like anything
similar. That's like they're doing it from Noah Hawley, who did the Fargo TV show, and I just don't know if I want. Like, I don't know. I know we just had a win, but I'm like, it's too close. I don't know if TV show and Alien go together.
Here's what maybe going to be my unpopular opinion on a lot of. I'm assuming it's a streaming show, right? It's going to be a streaming on whatever.
It's on FX, so it's on Hulu, but it's also on cable.
So it's a real show. How many episodes is it going to be?
I don't know if they said. I'll look it up.
Okay. Like it have like a. I don't. Because I just feel like a lot of these shows, especially the streaming shows, there are 8 episodes or whatever, and I just feel like they are a 2 hour movie. There's 2 hours of content, and they stretch it to 8 hours. Every single one of these shows that I don't want to watch them. I barely watch any shows because that's all they are. They're just like just give me the movie. I don't want all these episodes.
So, IMDb says it is 8 episodes.
I'm telling you, it's going to be mark my words. You're getting a 2 hour movie. You're getting a 2 hour movie stretched out to 8 hours. That's what they do.
We'll see. I don't know. I'm nervous about it. Romulus made me hopeful, but this one apparently is set 3 decades before the original film. So,
we'll
see.
So that'll definitely have some Covenant Prometheus ties.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah. So we'll see. But I do remain skeptical of that. The best Alien news since Romulus was that Isolation is getting a sequel from Creative Assembly. Maybe, a whole 8 to 7 years too late because the sequel should have been greenlit immediately. But I'm excited to see where they take that. And I guess there is an Alien VR game coming out next month.
Oh.
I might look at that.
Oh, wow.
That would be spooky. But I'm very glad that you watched Alien like all the way through for the first time. That made me happy to see that. So
cool. I'm glad.
More Alien people in the fold. So we'll see. Did you watch Alien vs Predator? I know you were hoping you could fit it in.
Yeah, I wanted to. I didn't have time. I wanted to do both of them, and I didn't have time. And I have a weird thing where like I'm out of it ain't happening. I'm out of October.
Yeah,
I'm not watching them.
You can watch them eventually again, in a future October, but
yeah,
it's got to be in October. So, I was originally supposed to see Romulus. I'll say this story, and then we'll get back to your book. I was supposed to see Romulus, opening weekend with my wife, who's also an Alien fan. We were very pumped, but then she got sick, and so she couldn't go. And I was like, well, I mean, I'll go see it by myself, but who wants to go see it with me? And so my dad went and saw it with me.
Okay.
Now, my dad, I don't think has ever seen Alien before in his life.
Oh, really?
I'm
so
like,
he
do you know what
it.
He may have seen Aliens. Maybe Alien. I don't know. He's not really a horror movie guy is the point. I'm like, you sure you want to see this? It's going to be pretty serious. And he's like, I'll go with you, whatever. And I think his words out of the theater were, well, that was horrific.
Oh, so he did not enjoy it.
I think he was disturbed.
Really? Wow.
I think the birth really got him. Because that's, right at the end. It's very tense.
Yes.
People are dying very rapidly.
Yeah. Took him right out of it.
I think so. So I don't know if he'd ever watch that again. But then like a week or two later, I took Abby and she loved it. And it was fun to see it a second time and know everything that was coming. I was like, oh,
yeah,
this is fun still. So it was a good time.
Nice.
It's a good time. I'm glad you joined the club. Someday I'll share it with my kids. I assume you will too. I assume they didn't watch it with you, or at least the
I don't
newer
know.
stuff.
It will not be shared with my kids because they don't like anything like spooky or gross or they're just
that may happen to me too. I don't know.
Yeah, and I thought maybe at this age, I mean, they're freshmen in high school. I thought at this age maybe they'd start to come around. Like my one daughter, I took her to her first like big haunted house, haunted attraction at like a farm last Halloween. My other daughter didn't want to go. She loved it. So then we tried to convince my other daughter. She's still too scared. She don't want to do it. Fine. My other daughter wanted to go. My daughter that liked last year, she still wanted. So we went back this year, or whatever. So after I was just like, if you love this, I said watch like a horror movie. I was like, well, let's watch Halloween. I was like, Halloween's not that bad.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Like just flat out refused. I'm like, all right. I said, I think you would enjoy it. So I think I might be able to start getting her.
Okay. You just gotta get the claws in them a little bit.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
But
we'll see how it all shakes out someday. We'll see. Maybe they'll become some of the biggest horror fans eventually someday, and that'll be ironic.
I don't know. Yeah. We'll see.
All right. Speaking of horrific, is the process of making a book horrific? I don't know. You tell me. It seems like it'd be stressful
Oh,
at least.
so this wasn't too stressful because a lot of it was done. So a lot of it. So the book, uh, we're on 2020X now. Start.
We are on
Okay. All right.
2020X Video Game Reflections by Phil Summers.
Yeah. So, so like yeah, a lot of this was kind of done. It was a whole bunch of my these reviews that I did with like an illustration. I did them over the course of 2 years. So it's like a compilation book. And of course, I added a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, so for the most part, a lot of this was finished, which was that made it easy. It wasn't like you know what I mean. It was a
Hmm.
different approach. I made it because I had a lot of people saying that they would like to get a book like this. I wasn't sure if anyone would go for it. I conducted a survey a few months before I started to get some feedback, and people were into it. So I thought, okay, I guess this is gonna maybe be worth my time. Um, so yeah, I started putting it together, and it I worked on it. I would say mm, for about 5 months, 4 months, like pretty steady. Um, and it wasn't too bad. So one of the things that was hard, the hardest part actually, I included screenshots with all of the games, and I didn't want to just like grab just photos off the internet or whatever, or like direct capture footage or screens. I wanted to manually take all the photos. So um, I would set up all the games on all the original consoles, on the console and on the TV. So I took a lot of these screens, all my pictures off CR. That took forever, just taking photos of all the different games. I didn't think it was going to take that long, but it did. So that was kind of hard. Um, but other than that, I added like new thoughts to each of the little entries, little passages, and it kind of came together pretty well. I had my friend Randy was the editor on it, and he did a great job giving me feedback. He I think improved all my writing. Um, yeah, so it wasn't too bad. It was a pretty straightforward process.
Yeah, it's so for a little bit more context on the book, like you said, it's a compilation of all your video game reflections that you did in 22 and 23. Some
Hmm.
of them were Patreon posts, others were like the blog post on the Hand Drawn Gaming website, and they kind of just all culminated and they're all brought together. Hence the word compilation. We actually talked about it last time you were on the show, not the book, but the reflections themselves. And I remember
Hmm.
being uh, really hooked and engaged by it because they were so short and sweet, and the
Hmm.
art obviously compelling. Uh, love Phil's art over here in the Roberts
Thank you.
house. Phil's art, big thumbs up
Oh, cool. Thank you.
all around here. So it seemed like the logical, like when I saw that you were making the book, and I may even filled out the survey. I'm not sure. I was like, yep, that's that's an Instagram for me because I didn't read all of your reflections, but when they would come in or on the Patreon, I'd read them.
Yeah.
And it was cool
Yeah.
to then come to the ones that I remember reading and be like, I remember this story because they're also personal. It's not just, oh, X game is good, Oh, here's
Yeah.
Contra arcade version. I play this all the time. No, it's more like I think the Contra one, you were at an arcade or something. It's like, well, why isn't Phil
Yeah.
over at the cabinet? It's like, I already beat
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that sticks out way more than, oh, Contra's a good game. You shoot a lot of bullets and go to the right of the
Yeah.
screen. It's fun. So I think that's what's so fun. But I kind of want to, I guess, start with the actual inception of making the book. And we actually talked about this like a tiny bit the other day, but producing this 5 months of your time plus technically all the time beforehand to make all the reflections, not that you were going to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, is this going to be worth my time? And you have to get feedback from your audience, which you've grown over the years. And in that episode, you said you're like, I think people like them. And so it's like, how do you go from I think people like them to All right, well, let's make this a book. So is that survey? Like what?
Yeah, the
What?
survey was key.
So how many many yeses does a survey do you need on a survey? Survey says yes, how many do you need to feel confident in the push?
Survey was close to 1,000 people saying yes. I did not sell anywhere near 1,000.
Okay.
Which I knew, of course, it's very easy to get a survey and be like, yeah, sure, I'd buy that. And then when the thing happens, you're like, well, money's tight, or maybe I really don't want that after all. You know what I mean? So of course there's going to be a drop off. So I did not come close to 1,000. But that was enough to be like, okay, there's people like the idea of this. So if I can do that and I can move a couple of these things, then hopefully it's worth my time. That's really how it started. Because as far as like, I feel like I never got too much traction with them. So the main posting place was, well, I used them on the Patreon for Hand Drawn Gaming. It was like a supplemental feature of that. Everybody had them like a week in advance before I posted them around on social media. And people liked them. And I think people that were fans of the work I was doing enjoyed them because it kind of ties into that. I don't think they were very good at making like a new audience. When I would post them like on Twitter, I'm just going to call it Twitter.
It's Twitter.
When I would post them on that, the ones that you would expect to be read would be read and shared, Super Mario, Metroid Prime, that kind of thing. Of course, like people click those and they'll get a fair amount of likes, but they never really did too much. They didn't really help me grow my audience. At one point, in a way, they actually kind of hurt me. So at one point, the way I was originally doing them is because you can't tweet a lot of words. So I would include the art and then I would write the words on a separate image. So you would have these two images and the art was kind of small. And that was driving me nuts because I was like, I don't think people, first off, they can't see the art. And then they got to click this other image to read the words, which I know a lot of people post the image, they'll read it, whatever. But seeing the two things together, like it bothered me. Elon had already bought Twitter at this point. So now the blue check you could buy. But the feature for me, the thing I wanted for that was like, well, I want to try and grow this thing. Like they're not really hitting outside of my audience, right? So I was like, I'm going to buy the check for a year. I mean, it's not going to hurt, right? I'm just going to do it. And then I can post the whole thing. The image will be nice and big. Maybe that would increase engagement.
Sure.
So that did not work. It made people... so literally a couple days after I bought the stupid blue check, that was when they announced something and people... I forget what it was. It was one of the many things that has happened over the last year and a half on that platform that people just got me. There's waves, something happens and people leave. They're like, we're leaving, we're out of here. And they take off.
Yeah.
Settles down. Some people come back. The new thing happens. We're leaving. So it was right when whatever that was, we're leaving happened. Oh, I know what it was. All the real blue checks lost their blue check. And it just became the paid people. That's what it was. That was the big event.
Oh, so then it's like a big spotlight on, Phil gave them money.
Yes, and now I'm the bad guy. All of a sudden, in that moment, I'm like, dude, I had a whole bunch of people unfollow me. I had people say, I can't believe you did this. I had all these. I was the funniest thing is when you start realizing all these people block you because you're going through conversations and it's like, why can't I read that? And then you click it, you're blocked. It's like, I don't even know who this person is. I don't even know who this is, and I'm blocked. I didn't even do anything. You didn't
want those people following you anyway, Phil. Is what I'm gonna say. That's ridiculous.
Well, I know, but it's still it's crazy, and a lot of that. Some of them were pretty well known game people because they get retweeted a lot, right?
Sure, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I'm not seeing posts that are being, and I'm like, why am I not seeing this? I'm like, I can't believe this person. Like, I never even interacted with this person. So it was a very weird thing to go through when it's like, I just really wanted to promote my work, and now it's just like, because this platform is so out of control, like this is not doing what I hoped it would do. And it didn't really even, if it had increased, like, if I knew it was helping me build something, I would have been like, well, this is worth it to me, because even though I'm, like you said, you're losing those people, whatever, who cares? At least I would be building something. I didn't build anything. I like stagnated for that whole time. And for me, it was actually a big turnoff, to where I was like, I don't really want to use this too much anymore. So I wrote out the rest of that year. I still used it to post the game reflections. I didn't post nearly as much as I used to on there. And then I hid my blue check as in shame, because
you can hide it.
Hide it.
Oh wow!
You can hide it.
That's
but
interesting.
But people know you got it. People know you got it because you'll start posting those
super long tweets. Yeah,
they know you got it. Yeah, so like you can kind of hide it. They find out, and then I let it ride out. I didn't renew it, and I was like, whatever. I guess that taught me a lot of things, but like that failed, and also it's just unbelievable to me how I understand being angry at that platform and everything that's happened to it and how much it's changed. Like, I completely get that, but it's just so strange to me how, like, a lot of people are so addicted to it that they still stick around on it.
Yeah.
But they're just going to, like, block everybody that's just because somebody wants to buy the stupid blue. Like, I don't care if you do whatever you want with your money. You know what I mean? Like, it's just strange. It's a very strange thing. But whatever. It is over now. That sort of. But yeah. So that's that. Sorry, that was a whole tangent. But anyway, so that I never really built anything with it. Like the game guides. When I'm working on a game guide or whatever, you're posting the work and you're kind of cultivating this audience and you're building this audience. And then that did not happen with this whole project for those 2 years. But people still felt strongly enough about them. And then that survey feedback was encouraging. So I was like, well, I'll give it a go and I'll make this into something.
Okay.
So that's probably more than you bargained for there with that response, I guess.
No, that's, I mean, it is more than I bargained for, but it is fascinating and sad that seemed to be, that's the response that stuck with you, clearly. And that is,
oh yeah,
that's like so unfortunate because the use case of why even you purchased it is so obvious and apparent. It was to their benefit, actually. But they just looked at one thing and decided to throw that all away. And they're the ones missing out overall. And I guess there's no way to know it, but I wouldn't be surprised if at least some of them bought the book as well, which, you win in the end anyway, I suppose. I mean, that's like, I think of like the people who are like, oh, I'm not going to buy The Last of Us Part 2 after that game leaked early. And they most surely did and played it and all that stuff. Same sort of mindset, I think. So it's just sad. The internet is especially Twitter, can be a very loud and angry place. But they don't do, usually their words don't end up meaning anything. So I'm glad that you stuck through it and obviously went on to make the book. So I kind of had this like divided up into two things. The design of the book and like just the book overall itself. And I've only made a book once, and that was a fairly easy process for me because I just made one copy for Max. Barnes & Noble will let you like upload, formatted PDFs and print a book.
Okay.
Sure, why not Barnes & Noble? And so I did that for my big Naughty Dog piece, Chasing the Stick. And just like wanted my own copy of that, and that was fun.
Yeah.
But you obviously have gone through kind of this production flow a couple of different times and ways, mostly by yourself. We talked about that in the first episode, the 1,000 labels falling on the floor. You're mailing these things out. And then with the Kickstarter, you were partnering with, what was it, Dream something, right? As a printing,
Dream Prism Press.
Dream Prism Press. So I feel like you've learned a lot about the print production book design process, and so I wrote out the flow, at least how I imagine it goes. You correct me if I'm wrong, but like step one is just like assemble all of the reflections and put them in order. Yep. Is that fairly accurate? Step one?
Yeah, just a Google Doc. Yep.
Yeah. So then are you, besides the editing process that Randy would have done to like just clean up grammar, words, writing, and things like that, are you touching up the art? The art was the art that you posted a year or two ago? Or like, what's that like for you on that side?
So little touch-ups. So with the art, that piece of it, so most of them are exactly the same. Maybe little edits here and there. Like the Turtles in Time one. I got my book right here. It has a red background. So that was like I think when I posted that, it was just like white. I don't think I used, so like little things like that, or I just touched it up. In the case of the arcade Contra game.
Yeah.
And actually 13 Sentinels. So the arcade Contra, I didn't like the art that I had for that. I just drew a picture. They looked terrible. It was just the two Contra guys shooting. One of the things I like to do with this series is like, how can I draw a picture that's kind of reflecting what I'm talking about, right? It's not just like, I'm not just drawing some random picture of the game. I want it to kind of link to the passage the best that I can. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. It all depends. So the Contra run I replaced completely, and I mentioned in that how I prefer the NES version. And I saw the one day someone posted a flyer from the arcade version, and it's this woman standing at the machine. She's like, wearing like camo, but she's like all sexy wearing her camo.
Sure.
And she's enjoying the Contra machine. So I just turned it into that meme with the person looking over their shoulder, basically, and she's looking at the NES version. So I thought that was a little funnier, and worked better. Yeah. So stuff like that, I did redo a few of them, not too many of them.
Okay.
And then lots of new art. I've made a little tip to go. When I say tips, sometimes that's a stretch. Sometimes it's just like an additional thought or whatever. Sometimes I actually did use an exact screenshot of like a password for the game I was playing or whatever.
Well, the password's crazy. It's like super convoluted.
Probably River City Ransom. Yeah, I think that one I literally included. Yeah, I just took a picture of my screen, my TV for that one. Yeah, so those, I just drew a whole bunch of little spot art to go along with those. Yeah, and then I just added some little pieces here and there, like the contents page, the introduction page, where I kind of reference my old work, that kind of thing. But
yeah, I love the little. You call it, I guess, spot art. Yeah, the little tips down at the bottom, or just little excerpts and stuff. They're really fun. I like them a lot. Cool. Some of these would make good, like, emotes in a chat or something. Or, like, I'm sure in other messaging apps, but, like, in iMessage, you can, like, pull out an image and make it a sticker. Like, you could probably, like, slap that on a message.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be fun. Cool little sticker pack.
And I did make them stickers. You have them.
In real life, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, real stickers, real life stickers.
They're gonna go on a
little sheet.
I'm gonna put Mario and Luigi on my water bottle. I think I have this very big Yoshi sticker.
Yoshi.
Yeah. So I want to put it next to Yoshi, I think. But yeah, cool. That is. I love the little art there. The expansion pack part, so you added not just pictures, but words as well. What was it like to go back and revisit? So was it just you looking at the game, was like, oh yeah, I played Conduit on the Wii, here's some more thoughts about it? Or was it, I don't know, Are you reflecting on the reflections?
Basically, yeah. It wasn't like I'm going to play the game again. There was not that. It was just, how am I feeling about this thing a year or two removed? What's my takeaway? So in the case of, I think, Mega Man 2 for Game Boy, I just mentioned it was kind of blah, right? And then I have barely any
The Big Mac
expansion pack for that. It's literally just like, yeah, I don't remember anything about this game. Like, I called it. So I have nothing else to write. So some of them are short, some of them are a little longer. In some cases, I used it as a means to kind of slip in like an extra little review. So like on the Goonies 2, I mentioned the Goonies 1, and the expansion pack to that is basically a review of the Goonies 1, which I did play in that case. So all depends on the game, really.
They're fun. They're little treats. Like, like the like something that would have been on the back of a cereal box, or included as like just this tiny little. I love them. They're the little pieces of delight at the end of a page. It's already just like little treats all the way through. I love them all so much.
I had an idea for like a code book forever ago. So this was my way of like kind of getting that out of my system, just like incorporating that idea into this.
Yeah, and some of them are handy codes. I like how you credit GameFAQs where you pull the code from GameFAQs.
Clearly,
yeah, that's fun. I like that a lot. And then there probably could be like a Konami code counter of like how many times the Konami code is used. I had no idea it was in Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. That's cool though. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You actually was like, dang, I should play that game because I bought it. I think I have 2 copies of that game, and I have yet to play it. I think one's digital on Xbox, and then one on physical on PlayStation. So I think that's the rub there. But I haven't played it. And then you know what sold me, and I'll use this as the segue here. You wrote it was like a 4 or 5 hour game. I was like, oh, that sounds incredible. And a trend that I noticed through the book is you play a lot of old games. I'd say for the most part.
Yep.
Sometimes you're like, oh, yeah, and I beat it in 40 minutes, or I beat it in 20 minutes, or I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds incredible.
That's why I love That's why I love short. I think that's one of the reasons I love old games. It's because sometimes it's like I can just throw this game in, and even if I don't win, I can play through most of it in like an hour, and I'm like satisfied, feel good.
Yeah, it made me want to play a lot of the games you wrote about, just because I was like, that sounds like something I can accomplish, and like a nice victory sense of accomplishment.
Yeah,
it's good. The pictures, the CRT pictures or the TV screen pictures. I guess some of the games don't actually, unless you have a lot of complicated video gear, aren't on your CRTs. Where'd that idea come from? And then how did you take the pictures of them? Because you said earlier this was the part that took surprisingly long.
Yeah, so I wanted to include the screenshots just to give some context to the game, right? Because I wanted, maybe you never heard of the game. Like you actually said it to me. You're like, I never even heard of some of these games. I kind of want to try them.
Mm-hmm.
So I expected that, right? So there needs to be context. You need to understand, I think, what the game kind of looks like. So I thought, okay, I'm going to include screenshots. Because one of the hand-drawn game guides thing is I never use screenshots, but I felt like in this case, to add context to a game, to understand, because I feel like, all right, so hand-drawn gaming, right, or Zelda, whatever, you know what you're getting. Okay, I'm buying Zelda, I'm familiar with Zelda, I know what Zelda is, I know what Castlevania is, so you don't need that, well, I don't know what this is, right? So I need to have something there to like show this is the kind of game you're looking at. Now, the reason I decided to take all the shots with a camera, and I am not a photographer, as you can tell by some of these pictures. The reason I decided to do that is I kind of wanted to have that vibe of an old video game magazine. So, especially like an old EGM. I loved in old issues of EGM, they would do, like when there was the summer CES, like pre-E3 stuff. They would do these big features where it was like a single screenshot with a little blurb about what they learned about this game, and they would have like, I don't know, 10 games per page or whatever, flood it, and the screenshots were just, it was just a guy just standing there with a camera on a show floor, just taking, and the screenshots were, some of them, sometimes they were so bad, but I kind of liked that because I was kind of like, got the mind going. It's like, what does this really look like, So I kind of wanted to recreate that feel of bad photography. And I was like, well, I'm not a great photographer, so I can definitely nail the bad photography. So I decided to give that a shot and go with it. And that way I could also just kind of crop them a little weird. Now, I didn't want to do, you see a lot of books and magazines when they show, like current books and magazines, when they have, especially retro games, they'll do this direct feed like shot, and it's pixel perfect, right? They blow it up and everything's so sharp and perfect. I didn't want that. I just wanted it to kind of look like how you think it might look on a screen.
I talked about this with Chris Johnston, who worked at EGM way back in the day. He's the guy that wrote, are you familiar with the PlayStation skeleton producing mind-boggling effects? And the skeletons.
Oh, yeah.
That's him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's the guy who also did the infamous Melee April Fool's joke where showing you how to unlock Sonic. That was also him. So I got to meet the maker of a man who caused me great agony as a child in my friend's basement as we tried to do what he wrote.
That's great. Yeah, I think we follow each other. It's CJ, right?
Yeah, CJ.
Yes.
Yeah, CJ. Yeah. He's great. But you're right. Like those pictures just add texture, I think. And I think it pairs well with your art because your art obviously has texture with it as well. The way I don't know what tools you're using, but there is texture. I can at least tell there's texture. Like it just in the shading and the color, there's something tangible to it. And I think, especially with the older games, that's almost necessary to pull you back because this is all through your lens and you grew up. A lot of these games are games that you played as a kid or you played at a neighbor's house, which is just instantly takes me back to playing games at my neighbor's house, like Tarzan on the N64. That for some reason is ingrained in my brain at 5 years old, going down the street in Ohio to play that game at a kid's house.
Yeah.
But Tarzan, not a maybe it is a great game. I don't know. I don't own it.
I think people like. I have not played it, but I think that game is well liked.
Maybe I think my in-laws have it, so they kind of kept everything.
Oh, cool.
So they have they have an Intellivision up in there, up in the closet upstairs with a bunch of games and stuff that I've busted out a couple times. I think they have Tarzan. Maybe I should nab it from them and like reacquaint myself with it. But nice. I love the pictures and the thought behind it. So why did it take so long? Is it just 2 pictures per game, so it just took a while to get diverse screenshots?
Yeah, that, and I mean, see, you said, why did it take so long? Well, that's what I would have thought, but it just, to set up, well, now I need to set up the NES, now I gotta go collect how many NES games did I play, or which ones did I play on Switch, which one, whatever, and I put them all in, and it's like, I'm trying to take pictures, I want to play the game a little bit, so I have some variety on where I'm at, and I mean, I guess you'd just be surprised at how long it takes to take pictures of however many games are in there, like 85 games or whatever, across all these different consoles, sort through all the photos you took, adjust all the photos you took. Yeah, so, that one was a secret time sink. It took a while. I'd say it took a month of work, not nonstop, but
yeah. It was a dedicated task.
Yeah.
Were you using your phone or like a dedicated camera?
I used the camera.
Okay. Was it how tricky was the CRT shots?
I mean,
with the rolling bar, but I guess it didn't matter because you. If the bar was in the shot, the bar was in the shot.
Yeah, yeah, and they're kind of, a lot of them are kind of zoomed in. Like the one PS2 game, the Rygar that I did, that was really hard to take pictures of. Like that, I don't know. There was something about it. Like some of them worked better than others. Flipping through.
Do you think
Yeah,
you
it's
would
hard to
do this
say.
again? Like take pictures like this again for a future project?
Maybe, probably. I don't know what I would do it for, but
Yeah.
I mean, if I was doing like something like this, yeah, it'd be fun. But I
The
don't know
Phil,
if I'll do this again.
the Phil Summers magazine.
Yeah.
Welcome to CES, everybody. I'm Phil Summers. Here I am with my camera. I'm going to go up to every 8K television and take pictures.
Yeah.
This close to the screen. Oh, my
Well,
goodness.
now everybody gets media kits. Everybody just gets the media kit sent to them. They don't even have
Yeah.
to do anything.
With the perfect full res images.
Yep.
What lessons, if any, what lessons did you learn and bring into this project from Hand Drawn Gaming, in the Kickstarter, in the newsletter out in the mail? Like, what did you learn from those and bring into designing the book of it? Because you've been making physical printed layout, books and magazines and that sort of stuff for a while now. So now it's all being applied into this. I don't want to say magnum opus, but like a culmination of all the work up to this point. Like Hand Drawn Gaming led to this.
So, I mean, I guess just the experience of just, especially with Hand Drawn Gaming, the experience of just handling all these orders and shipping things. I mean, that's the trickiest part. The book itself, because I had never done it. I didn't do a hardcover for anything before. It's the first hardcover book I've made. So I was I speak with Lucas from Nintendo Force magazine, and he did an Iwata book, and I basically said to him, "Hey, what company did you use for your Iwata book?" And he told me, and I said, "Okay, what kind of book did you get for your Iwata book?" And he told me, and the reason I did that, because when I was working on this when my copy came in, and I was like, this is the perfect size, and I had his box. Shipping is like impossible. Shipping's ridiculous. Like as far as guessing how much is something going to weigh, like how am I going to charge somebody when I don't have a product, right? So I looked at his Iwata book, saw how many pages it was. I was like, my book's probably about half that for what I'll do. And then I thought, well, I have his book, and I'm going to run off the same book, basically. I'm going to use that printer. And I have all the material. I have his packaging. I asked him, I was like, what'd you do for your packaging? He told me to do his packaging. I was like, all right, I'm going to copy all this. So he knows this is not a secret.
Sure, yeah.
And I was like, because this is just going to help me out so much. And that way, when I came to figuring out shipping, I used the Iwata book. I packaged it all up. I repackaged it the way it came. I weighed it. I figured out all the shipping prices. And it was like spot on, like it worked. So once everything came to me, I had everything going. I already had all the material ordered. So as soon as they arrived, I was able to start packing and shipping, and it went pretty well. And the shipping, one of the things I was annoyed with the book being delayed a couple weeks was we're officially in the price hike time for the holidays.
Yeah.
For shipping. So my shipping costs went up. So I'm losing on shipping, but I mean, whatever. I figured I would.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And the shipping's horrible. I feel terrible for anybody international that ordered this book. I just feel horrible. I wasn't going to offer it. The shipping costs more than the book itself.
Yeah, that's never fun.
It's awful. So the way I figured that out too was, since I had this big mailing list from Hand Drawn Gaming, I figured those people were most likely the audience for this book, right? So I grabbed my whole mailing list from that, and I took all the different all the different countries it came from, and I found like the top 5 or 10, whatever it was, countries, and I just started plugging them all into the shipping thing that I use, Pirate Ship. and it was just giving me all these ridiculous prices, and they were all so much money. Some of them are a little cheaper than others. And then I was just like, it just has to be this. This is the average price. I averaged it all out. It's like the average price is freaking $35. Like, I don't know what else to do. So I did have people that were just like, we're used to paying ridiculous shipping. Just make it available to us. I was like, all right, man, if you say so. And I did get a fair amount of orders from internationally, which is incredible. So thank you for that. If you happen to be listening. But I felt terrible. But I'll say, like, I've been adding up all my shipping costs and comparing them to what I charged everybody, and they're, for the international, they're pretty close. For the US, because of the price hike, I'm losing a lot. But sorry if I'm getting like too into the weeds here with this kind of stuff. But
no, the weeds are
that's
good.
That's the part of the production part, the actual shipping and getting this to people. That's, to me, the part I don't like. I know how to. I've been the designer forever. I know how to draw pictures. I know how to make a booklet. I can do that stuff. That's easy. It's this part of it is the hard part that, like, I've learned mainly through hand-drawn gaming and was able to just kind of apply that to this.
Yeah. So. I like the packaging a lot. My book came in super clean. I think you've definitely the newsletter, the Patreon, I think definitely not taught you a packaging lesson, but probably reinforced one for some people. I would never complain. I understood what you were shipping, and my father-in-law was a mailman. He's retired now, but I know what the Postal Service deals with, and I know what you were dealing with. I get it.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. I really thought, well, I don't want to get into that, but I thought it would work out differently, and it was a bummer when, I got to say, shipping is one of the big reasons why I bailed on that project. It was just too much.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Just the admin work for that was turning into a full-time job. And I was just like, I can't keep up with this.
Yeah. So. Did your girls help pack these books at all? I know we talked to no.
I did it all myself.
Thanks, ladies.
It was a rough week. It was a long week, but I got through it. So,
good.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the cover of this book. It is. Sure. It's got a big dog on it. I mean, the dog is what I see right away. And not for some reason, I know the reason. It makes me think of The Last Guardian.
I could see that. So the dog is
with
from
the
Dragon.
bird dog.
Sorry. Yes.
Oh, no, that's a dog, but there's a dragon ahead of it. Right?
There is a dragon. Yeah. A dragon spirit.
I was just saying, talk me through this, because it's very captivating. I love it. And then the use of the empty space where you put the title of the book and the logo of it. It's very captivating.
Oh, I'm glad you think so. So this is one of the only pieces in this book that's digital. I wanted to draw everything everything else is physical. All these pictures exist. I wanted to do this by hand. With paper, and I started to do it, started to figure it out and all that, but I knew I wanted to make a poster. I knew it was going to be all these different sizes, so I just thought, I'm just going to do it digitally. It's fine. I don't think anybody will mind, as long as I make it appear like it is actual ink or whatever. I think that'll be okay. So that was the first thing, and then I just wanted to I scribbled tons of ideas, like in a notebook. How can I bring all of these characters together without them being the characters? I don't want to get into trouble, so I don't want to show Link, even though Link is clearly on here. It's not that clear, but they're all there. So how can I show these? He's right under the dragon. He's got a sword.
Oh, I see him. Yep, that is
Link.
Got his little hat. Link, not
Link.
Yes.
Right. So how can I do this? How can I represent all these characters in a way where it's them and they're familiar, but it's not them? So that was kind of the thing there.
I mean, my favorite are the turtles.
Yes, because I had to include the turtles on there, but I thought I can't draw a Ninja Turtle on here, so I will make
You'll get
a little...
especially in the black and white. You can't draw Ninja Turtles in black and white like that.
No, yeah.
You get
So
in big trouble.
yeah, I made tiny little turtles.
I love them.
But thank you. But yeah, so that was it, and I wanted to keep it pretty clean. I wanted it to not be, I don't know, too noisy. I wanted people to like want to pick through it and look through it, not get too lost, you know. So that was the thought there.
My favorite thing about it is it makes me curious about what's inside the book. Because, again, you see Link, like, oh, he's going to talk about a Zelda game, which, by the way, is the only one I skipped because I'm not done with Tears of the Kingdom yet, and I've just avoided everything about that game as to my best of my ability. So that is the only one I've skipped in your book. I'm excited to go back to it and read
Fair enough.
when I'm done. But it made me curious to look at the cover and go, I wonder what like that car is, or that the gunship. Actually, there's a couple of gunships on here.
Yeah.
But it's just, what kind of games did Phil play over these 2 years? And I think that, to me, and I'm not a designer in that sense, but like that's the mark of like a good cover. Like it pulls you in, it entices you to look inside and answer that question. I guess you're judging a book by its cover in that way, supposedly on some level. I guess I like it though.
Cool.
But the other thing I love about the book, cover wise, is this shade of red you chose. Just how did you pick this shade of red? Because it's so good.
I don't know. I just thought I just wanted something bold, and I kind of had this red. I had like this. Well, I think I came up with the little gradient for the logo, where it goes to the red to the orange. So I came up with that orange. Daughter's always getting me on that word, which really is from the kind of a take on the Hand Drawn Game Guide's logo itself, right?
Yeah.
And then I started. I just kind of started pulling those colors, and then I thought, well, maybe the red will be cool on the cover if it's just all red and the back's all red. Originally on the inside, here's a little secret, where it's black, which I actually don't mind that it's black, but it was supposed to be the orange color. But that cost extra money. So I put the extra money. Yeah, I actually like the black too. But I
think it ties in with the pencil strokes.
Yeah,
Pen
yeah, it works.
Whatever.
Yeah, it works. I actually like it. I used the orange on the 2022, like little that main image before the year.
Yeah.
So I used it there. I think I used red on the other one, but yeah. So I used it there too. So yeah, it was just I like those two colors. I just wanted to kind of use them throughout, and I just thought the red was nice. So
the red is good. I could also see this if you. And this is purely hypothetical. If you did three more of them, you could do like the Super Nintendo, the Super Famicom button colors. You get your red, your yellows, and then all lined up on the shelf. That would look so good.
I probably won't make another one.
No, but yeah, don't. That is not me projecting or asking for that. I just
you're good.
When I see that and then think of lining them up on a shelf, I'm like, the other colors would be yellow, green, and blue.
Yeah.
Like that would be the logical ones.
Yeah, definitely won't be another one. I'm already a year behind on games that I haven't covered, and I already forget half of them. So I can't. I wouldn't be able to do it. It would have been fun though. I have a lot of TurboGrafx 16 ones. I have like pretty good variety this year of games I played. So it would have been fun, but yeah, I just probably wouldn't have been worth all that.
Yeah. So you haven't like personally been keeping up with? I know you keep up with your spreadsheet. That's a 10-year habit. You're not gonna drop that.
The spreadsheet. Yeah, the spreadsheet's happening. But I'm not like
not art and writing and all that stuff.
No, yeah. Which I kind of miss it a little bit. There's a couple of games where I'm like, oh, I'd like to write about this one, and then I don't.
I mean,
I have other things going on.
I think just personally, I mean, speaking for you personally, I think there's some value there because then I think part of the reason you started the reflections, like what we talked about last time, was you had more of a memory tied to the game and like that experience with it and stuff. And I think I would encourage you maybe to pick it up in some fashion just for yourself, not to make another book or not for me or some social media post where people will get mad that you paid for a blue check. But just for Phil. And I think the truly beyond the art and the games and everything else, I think and maybe this is just 2-year-old dad brain, but I think the special thing about this is when your family weaves through the book and your daughters in particular, like those are the real memories, I think, of like the Kirby or Splatoon and your salmon run with your daughters. Final Fantasy V was just I wrote the quote in my notes. It was nice playing through this with her as my guide and our roles being reversed. Where has the time gone? And I'm like, so I think that is the thing that you would want to hold on to. I would encourage you at least. I think that's what's special is those through lines, and I would at least encourage you to keep up with that because that's something you can look back on, in 5, 10, 20 years, and then your kids can look back, and if they have kids, then they'll be like, oh, Grandpa Phil played weird games.
Yeah,
what a weeb! What a weeb!
Yeah, and Celeste really liked it. I think she appreciated it more than Helena did, but she liked it too. But when I showed her when the book came in, I was like, "Look, here's your picture, here's your stuff." She was pretty excited about it. So
yeah, that's cool, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I was excited when I saw that because I was like, oh, at first, because I didn't read the names of who wrote them and who drew the pictures. At first, I was like, oh, this must have been like an extra tier or something that I missed, where like if you paid X amount, you could contribute a review or something. But then I read the authors. I was like, oh, this is way cooler.
Okay.
Way
I had
cooler.
a couple extra pages. So I was like, what can I do here with these pages? And Randy came up with the idea. It's like, why don't you let one of them write something? And I thought, that's actually fun. Yeah. So since they get mentioned a lot.
They get mentioned a lot. It's very, very cool to see that. I wanted to ask you how your piano lessons are going. I see your piano over there.
There is a piano. Yes. They're going well, I think. I've been doing that for over a year now. It's tricky because when I was done hand-drawn gaming, I wanted to do something different for myself. Mm-hmm. I wanted to take some time off of the grind. I've always wanted to learn an instrument. I mentioned it in the one passage. I was playing the Final Fantasy theater rhythm, and I thought, I'm finally going to do this. So I had time, signed up for the lessons, been going to the lessons. I played for a long time there. I was playing it for at least a half hour every night. It's very hard. I'm still not very good, but now things are ramping up in life again. And the last 2 months, I mean, I'm still doing my lessons, but I'm not playing nearly as much, and I am falling behind. But my teacher is telling me not to stress out. It's just supposed to be a relaxing thing, but it's hard because I want to maximize my teaching time with her. As I say to her, I only go a half hour a week or whatever, and she's like, yeah, you're one of my best students because you do this and that. And I was like, look, I don't want to come here once a week, and that's the only time I play this thing, and I don't remember anything from the week before. Like, I want to show you that, like, I worked at this, and I want to move on to the next thing. I want to keep building.
I want to level up.
Like, oh, that's the way to do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to level up. I don't want to and I was like, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. So like, I want to do this thing. So now I have a lot going on. So it's starting to cut into it a little bit, but it's still going well. So I am trying not to stress about it, but I am also stressing about it.
Well, the only thing I remember from piano lessons as a kid was how to play the beginning of the Imperial March. So
I should learn that.
That one is not too terrible. I'm sure you could learn that one pretty quick. I think
out.
it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that does it. The book is great. I want to tell everyone that. Can people still buy the book? Is that
Yes.
possible? Okay.
Yep.
There will be. Is that on your Gumroad page? Is that where people get it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. You can just go to handdrawngameguides.com. Well, that'll take you to the website. Yeah. Well, I'll put up handdrawngameguides.gumroad.com. There you go.
Okay. There will be a link to the book in the show notes, which you can check out. I cannot recommend it enough. And while you're poking around, you could probably download all of Phil's guides as well. I believe those are up for free to avoid the mighty fierce legal hand of
a couple dollars.
a couple dollars.
Well,
Okay.
not the guides are free. Yeah, the hand drawn gaming I have as a bundle. On
Oh,
that shop.
the Castlevania, the Mega Man, Turtles. It starts with the G, the little gumball, green gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and
Mega
then
Man.
I see the art, the spy one. It was a top secret dossier.
Yes, the Bionic Commando issue.
Bionic Commando and Double Dragon.
Yes,
Did I get them all?
that's it. You got them.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember.
So 6 of those.
You can buy those as well. Everyone should buy those. They're all great. I highly encourage people to check it out. Check out the rest of your work on, I guess you tweet every now and then, blue check mark free, so you can follow him again, everybody.
Yeah,
Everyone can follow Phil again.
Well, I'm still the bad guy though because I paid for it once. That's the mindset.
It'll hold.
It doesn't
It's
matter.
gonna follow you forever.
I mean, anybody that remembers it, it will. Yeah, for sure.
No one's gonna remember it, Phil. No, nothing. It's not important. Those.
I know it's not, but you'd be surprised, I guess. Yeah.
Do you have? I know you've done a couple of other guides for other games. Developers have hired you to make. You have anything else like that in the pipe, or what were those games? There was a Wizard one.
I did a poster for Witch and Whiz, which is a NES game, like a homebrew one, of course. That's actually a really cool game. I don't think you can buy a physical NES one anymore, but you can get a hold of the game. There's a whole bunch of ways. So that was cool. I did a guide for another game, Cathedral. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's kind of like a starter guide. It gets you through like the first 2 areas of the game. And then those were like the 2 official ones I did before I moved on to hand-drawn gaming, and I've done like a few little side things here and there. But I am working on a big one.
Ooh.
That's all I can say, and it's a big one. So the pressure is on.
Okay.
But it'll be very exciting. I believe. I'm not allowed to say anything really, but I believe I will be able to. It will be revealed next month.
Okay.
So
a game came to mind. I might bring it up to you after the call. You don't have to confirm or deny, but I'll tell you at least to get the guess out there. So everyone check that out. Follow Phil on Twitter. Links to all that will be in the show notes, which you can check out over at maxfrequency.net/MFP-44. If you'd like, you can check out the rest of my work over on maxfrequency.net, or subscribe here in the podcast feed or over on YouTube. But thank you all so much for listening, and until next time, adios.